Good day, my dear students. Hope you're doing well. In this very short and brief video, I'm going to explain the relationship between the topics that we discussed during the lectures related to Unit 2. And by the end of the video, we're going to know that the topics are not just, rules of grammar, unrelated rules of grammar. Rather, they are related rules that are forming the structures of the sentence. Now, this is a diagram. This is a very tentative diagram regarding the relationship between the topics discussed in Unit 2, starting with parts of sentence or the sentence elements. Now, the core sentence elements that we all know, they are the subject, the verb, the object, the complement, and the adverb. The yellow box in the middle, it shows that the way they are realized, and it is related to the topic element realization types. So how can these elements be realized? The answer is they can be realized either as part of a speech, parts of a speech. I mean the building blocks that form the sentence elements, or they can be realized as a proform, like a proper noun can be realized as a pronoun, for example, or they can be realized as larger constructions. They can be realized as phrases or clauses. So the yellow box, it shows the way sentence elements can be realized as a full structure. On the right side, we have the categories of verbs. Now, types of verbs and their categories is very important because they determine, it shows the required elements that come after the verb, after the verb. What are the required elements in the sentence? And consequently, it shows the sentence pattern. So whether the verb is transitive, intransitive, types of transitive verbs, whether it is a linking verb, it determines the required elements. All in all, the right side, the middle and the right side of the diagram, it shows the structure of the declarative sentences or the declarative clauses, which is let's say, the default case of sentences. While the left side, it shows the transformations, the sentence transformations. And by transformation, we mean whether the sentence is an interrogative sentence or a negative one. And by this, we're talking about the topic of assertion and non-assertion forms. The assertion deals with the declarative clauses, and the non-assertion deals with the negative and question. Now, how can we change the sentence into a question? We need the operator. We need to know the limits of the predication, and so on. So the topic of operator, subject-verb inversion, and by the verb we mean the operator, so in order to form questions. While in case of negation, again, the operator is needed to handle the negation, because we add a negative particle in its normal form. A negative particle is added to the operator in order to form negative sentences. So here we have the transformations. We have the case where the sentence is not assertive. The other topic is the opening class item and closed class items, which are associated with the parts of a speech, and it can be considered to be a minor topic. So the whole diagram, it shows the most prominent topics dealt with in Unit 2. Let's take some examples, and before that, we can see that how things are related to each other. You see that they are all related to each other. We need them all, and we need them to appear in a harmonical way in order to have the final outcome, which is a well-structured sentence. Starting with the first topic, parts of the sentence or the elements of the sentence. A very simple example we have, for example, she gave him a book yesterday, and we simply have to identify the sentence elements. Each element has its slot, or let's say the position. in order to be filled with different sentence elements according to their position in the sentence. So this is the default case of the appearance of the elements in the sentence. Next, we have the realization elements in a sentence, or the filling. Let's call the filling of those slots, the filling of those positions in the sentence. Now, elements can be realized as, for example, parts of a speech. It could be a single word like a noun, or it could be a proper noun, or it could be a pronoun, and whatever. If it is a phrase, if it is not a single word, then you might have an article, you might have a demonstrative plus a noun, and so on. Elements can be realized as a proform. I mean, in other words, these slots of elements, they can be filled with proforms. You have an already introduced proper noun, for example, then the second mention would be a pronoun. Or elements can be realized as longer constructions, such as phrases or clauses. Like a subject, for example, can be realized as a full clause. The categories of verbs, the verb is the director of the sentence or a clause. The type of this clause or the category of the clause, it determines the type of the sentence. Like if you have an intransitive verb, sleep, like in the sentence, she sleeps well. Now, the word well at the end of the sentence, it is optional. It is not obligatory, because this kind of a verb, it needs only a subject and a verb, because the meaning of the verb is complete in its own term, and whatever comes after is just optional. A transitive verb, for example, read, it requires a subject, a verb, and a direct object. Without this direct object, the meaning of the verb is incomplete. A linking verb, verb be, for example, it requires a subject, a verb, and a complement. It needs a complement. Again, if there is no complement, the sentence would be incomplete. So this director, the verb as a director, it ensures grammatical completeness. Also, the transformations of the sentence. Here we need to have a mastery over the topic of operator. We need to know the operator. We need to know the limits of the predication, the predicate, in order to be able to form questions or negations, in order to be able to transform a declarative sentence into an interrogative or a negative one. Now, in case of the question, it is created primarily through elements displacement, especially subject auxiliary inversion. Now, this auxiliary is the operator that we talked about. Like she's coming, what is the operator? It is the verb is, verb to be. And to form a question, you just have to displace the position of the operator and the subject to form a question. Then you have the predication. While in case of the negation, you add the negative particle not. This is the traditional case where not is added to the operator, or in this case, the auxiliary verb, in order to form negative sentences. If we want to take one simple example and add or apply the operations and the topics that we dealt with in Unit 2, we might have this sentence: the teacher did not give the students their tests. You might be asked to identify first the target elements. What are the elements of the sentence? What is the subject? In other words, what is the verb? What is the object? So we identify the sentence elements in the sentence. We need to know also that these elements, they can be realized in different forms. They can be realized as proforms. They can be realized as parts of a speech. They can be realized as other constructions, such as, in this case, the phrase. The subject is realized as a phrase, particle, article, and noun as a subject. as a as a phrase. Number three, the transformations. The type of this clause is a declarative one, assertive. Sorry, it is not assertive, but if you can change it, if you want to change it into an assertive form, you just delete, you just omit this negation. You're no longer going to be needing this operator. So the sentence would be the teacher gave the students their tests. And if you want to apply other transformations, the sentence is already non-assertive. If you want to change it into a question, for example, you just displace the operator with the subject and the sentence would be interrogative sentence. I'd like to thank you for your attention. This was a very short and brief video, not with the objective of explaining or summarizing the topics, all the topics. The objective was to show the relationship between the topics discussed in Unit 2, just to have a full idea about the way grammar rules work. They work together in order to have a full idea, in order to have a full portrayal of the way sentence elements are constructed and transformed. Thank you so much, and I wish you all have a good day. And if you have any question, you might leave them in the comments. Thank you so much.